What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. You know, if you never sat at a defense table, getting ready to go to trial, you never sat through hearings, knowing that, look, man, these people are going to try to put your lights out. You could be facing 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 100 years. Then nobody can really understand what Young Thug's really going through. You can see it in his expression. You can see it in his face. You know, if nobody knows, those lawyers know. If nobody knows, Young Thug knows. They know exactly what he did. They know exactly what he's involved in. They know exactly what he's up against. In the beginning, he was confident, right? He didn't know about all the evidence. He didn't know about the recordings, probably. Not all of them. He didn't know that the people that he was closest to would take plea agreements. And, you know, the prosecutor, we're going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. And then they're giving out probation to dudes that are involved in shootings. What does that tell you? That tells you, man, that they got their mark. They know who their man is, right? They are the ops. They are the opposition. And they're coming for this kid's head. But what can he do? He's facing all that time. He knows what he's done. Is it time to fold your hand? Is it time to cop out? And I can tell you from experience, man, I've seen plenty of dudes go to trial from my city, right? I went to trial. But I've seen plenty of dudes say, you know what? They're just in their feelings. Man, I'm going to trial. I got to see that witness list. I'm going to make them dudes get up there on me. Yeah, they're going to get up on there and they're going to put your lights out. And then you're going to know who they were. You know, the world's going to see what they had to say. And they're going to go on and live their lives. And your ass going to be in prison for years upon years upon years. Is that his approach? Some could say that he was an intelligent young man, right? He still is. He made some bad choices, right? Didn't get out the street, didn't get out the life. But in the back of his mind, what's his best choice? Sometimes your next move has to be your best move. And what is Young Thug's? You don't think that him and his lawyers are having conversations at this point about pleading guilty? You don't think that this top-notch lawyer, this top-notch defense team can't go in there and get a plea deal? What do you think he should do? I'm going to tell you what I think. I think he should go in there and try to get, you know, a deal to the lowest amount of time, save his face. He doesn't have to tell on anyone. He doesn't have to testify. Copping out don't mean you got to testify on anyone. Copping out don't mean you got to tell. Go in there and accept guilt. And, man, take the time that you got to take and make sure that you get out of jail, man, and you can still have a life. I'm sure he's still got a couple dollars put away. Go out there and have a life, brother. Because if not, they're going to take it. So will he plead guilty? I think he's going to just before the trial starts. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think it's in his best interest. I think the lawyers, if they're providing effective assistance of counsel, they should be telling him, like, look, man, this is a high bar here. We got a big mountain to climb, big dog. It's going to be hard to beat these folks. And if we don't beat these folks, this is what's going to happen. They're going to give you this amount of time. This is what you can get for this charge. This is what you can get for that charge. Then they're going to put them all together. Some of them will be concurrent. Some will be consecutive. And you're going to get out when you're like 70. Like, what the f? It's not a hard decision to make. You know, the streets don't love you, man. The streets never love you. The streets take you. They give you opportunities for a very limited amount of time. And then they ball you up and throw you in the trash. And then they start with the next dude, man. You want to be the next dude? Let's get into it, man. Let's talk about the case. Jeffrey Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug, with a Grammy-winning rap career and plenty of money, could not walk away from the streets. The streets owe you nothing and always rack up losers. You can love the streets, but in the end, the streets never love you back. Young Thug's lawyer Brian Steele told the media, "We cannot wait for a trial date." But is that how Young Thug really feels? Or is he now trying to avoid a trial in return for a plea? When you see Young Thug sitting at the defense table during hearings, you can see in his face that he knows he's fighting a losing battle. Young Thug's right-hand man, Sergio Gunnar Kitchens, took a plea deal known as an Alford plea. By doing an Alford plea, Kitchens maintains his innocence while conceding to punishment. In a statement, he maintained that he did not consider YSL a gang, but a group of people from Metro Atlanta who had common interests and artistic aspirations. While I have agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be a witness for or against any party in the case, and have absolutely no intention of being involved in the trial process in any way. I have chosen to end my own RICO case with an Alford plea and end my personal ordeal by publicly acknowledging my association with YSL. So was it that easy for Gunner to just cut off Young Thug, to never talk to him again? To say that I'm a changed man after a few months in jail, I've changed my life? That's probably not how it's really going down. And then with his plea, it was like a domino effect. Other people that were close to him decided, you know what? I'm taking a deal too. When you look at Gunner's plea deal, and then you look at the recent plea deal of Antonio Sledge, you have to wonder if some of the wording is simply to save the street dudes from being embarrassed. Sledge pled guilty to conspiracy to violate the Racketeering Act and to being a felon in possession of a firearm. Part of that plea deal makes clear that Sledge has to testify in any trial emerging from the indictment and will not be allowed to invoke his Fifth Amendment protection against self-incrimination. In return for this, prosecutors will recommend he spend 15 years on probation for the racketeering charge and will drop the firearm charge. Prosecutors usually don't make deals like this just to be nice. In court for the world to see, prosecutors said that Sledge was a YSL associate since 2012. They stated that he threatened a member of a rival gang, participated in a drive-by shooting, and knew that at least one YSL associate murdered victim Donovan Thomas Jr. on behalf of the gang, a murder that prosecutors will connect to Jeffrey Young Thug Williams. He and other members had got cash from Young Thug to lay low and stay out of the way, according to him. But these are not the only major players that have pled guilty. Young Thug's brother, Quintavious Unfunk Greer, pleaded guilty as well and was sentenced to a mix of time served and probation. Greer denied informing on his brother. He said, "Damn, people really think I told on my brother? Shake my head." He wrote with laughing emojis on his Instagram account. "Show me in my paperwork I told on anybody. LOL. I'm not even finna entertain any of it. Peace and blessings." As part of the deal, Greer cannot have contact with his own brother, Young Thug, until the end of the case. But why? Because prosecutors are expecting to call him as a witness. All of these deals are structured in a way to save street dudes from being embarrassed at the moment. When they call them as witnesses, they may not ask them direct questions about Young Thug, but many questions about YSL being a gang will be on full display. The actions of the gang will also be part of the subject matter. You can expect questions such as, was YSL a gang? Did members of YSL commit violence to further the goals of YSL? And these dudes will admit all of it. And then they will say, I never said nothing about Young Thug. I ain't mentioned that man's name. I ain't telling that man. Maybe they won't. But there will be some people that will testify on the actions that Young Thug took directly, that prosecutors will tie in with the other testimony. And then in closing arguments, the prosecutors will connect everything like a well put together puzzle. You heard from so-and-so that YSL was a gang. This other so-and-so told you that he directly seen Young Thug order the shooting of so-and-so, or the stabbing of so-and-so at the jail. The plea agreements all have these special words. If called by any party in this case, you will testify truthfully, but reserve your right to assert your Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. So when called and having to testify truthfully, what does that entail? Don't think for a minute that the government, that prosecutors, are just handing out probation for free to people that the District Attorney Fannie Willis once stated. It does not matter what your notoriety is or what your fame is. If you come to Fulton County, Georgia, you commit crimes, and certainly if those crimes are in furtherance of a street gang, then you are going to become a target and a focus of this district attorney's office, and we are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Is giving out probation the type of prosecution she was talking about? Hardly. They have their focus, and that focus is Young Thug, that slime life. The indictment and evidence outlines YSL, Young Slime Life, as a criminal street gang and alleges 182 instances of the collectives participating in gang activity and criminal conspiracies, citing lyrics, social media posts, and clothing or associates or accessories with slime emblazoned on them as evidence. Atlanta's Fulton County grand jury also charged some individuals with violent crimes that include attempted armed robbery and even murder. That is what Young Thug is really up against. His lawyer, one of the best, months earlier told the New York Times that YSL is not a criminal street gang. Mr. Williams came from an incredibly horrible upbringing and has conducted himself throughout his life in a way that is just to marvel at. He's committed no crime whatsoever. With so many dudes saying it was a criminal street gang, dudes that are admitting that they were part of it, can Steele convince a jury of the same thing he told the New York Times? Probably not. Young Thug, look at your options. The prosecution will paint the picture that Young Thug was the man behind YSL. that he pulled the strings. Everything is on full display, from murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, theft, drug dealing, carjacking, and even witness intimidation. The prosecution's theory will be the same as what the indictment says. Criminal trials are like really good plays, something you might see on Broadway or the Sight and Sound Theater in Pennsylvania. Whoever puts on the best show wins. The only problem is the losers pay with their life, their freedom. The prosecution's show will portray Young Thug as something of a mob boss. This is what they call bad guy evidence. Thug is alleged to have committed multiple crimes that he is not being charged with. This, of course, is all part of the show. While Thug is not being charged for these overt acts, which include possession of meth with intent to distribute and threatening to kill a man at a mall, they lend credence to the allegation that this was a street gang involved in a criminal conspiracy. Prosecutors will throw everything to the jury to salivate on, including allegations that he rented a car that was used in the commission of the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., a rival gang member, in January 2015. 5 YSL members, including Yak Gotti, were charged with that murder in connection to Thomas's death. They would tell the jury that 3 other members were charged with attempted murder in connection with an attack on rapper YFN Lucci, who was stabbed in jail. They will tell the jury about witnesses that were being threatened by Thug and his people. Thug's lawyers will say it's all a lie, but what will the jury believe? We cannot wait for a trial date. Is that how Young Thug's lawyer still feels? Or is it the prosecution that really feels that way?
I mean, you hear it, you see it. That's what the evidence is. The paint's starting to dry on the wall. I mean, it is what it is, right? Can this kid win at trial? You know he can. But if he does go to trial, what does he do? He tells the streets, man, I'm Young Thug, I kept it 100. Rest of these dudes ain't keeping 100. But 5 Christmases from now, you're going to be laying in your cell, maybe locked down, thinking, damn, I'm hungry. And you ain't got no commissary because you ain't been to the store in a month because it's been locked down. They ain't been bringing commissary. They give you this bullshit ass tray through the flap. But you're Young Thug, man. You're the dude that kept it 100. You're the dude that they talk about. You're the dude that used to be that dude. The streets don't love you, big dog. You got to make a choice. And I can assure you, and I know, that they will take a plea. They will allow you to plead guilty. They will offer you a plea agreement, and then it's a win-win. Everybody wins. The prosecution goes on the news and they talk about how they put their case together, how they took you off the street for 10 years. They settled the case because it would have been a year-long trial, and they saved taxpayer dollars. At the same time, they got a dangerous man off the streets. And you can go ahead and accept, the little bit of time that you're going to have to do. I mean, it's never a little bit, right? But at least you'll have a chance to get out of prison, man, and have a life. You can go to trial and there'll be all kinds of content for people on social media, people to talk about this guy, talk about that guy. But this is what the streets are, man. They're designed for you to lose. They're designed for best friends that grew up together to end up hating each other. And again, man, of course, there's victims in this case. There's a mother that had to bury a son. So our condolences go out to them. Young Thug, your next move has to be your best move, man. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.